From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. Do you want free advice? Visit us at podtherapy.net or tweet to us at podtherapyguys to submit your questions to the show. It's time to record episode 3, and we promise no more Donald Trump. The two of us are the only stable geniuses we will be referring to today. And now, broadcasting from Level 9 Studios, that guy is Dr. Jim Jobin. I'm Nick Tangeman. It's time for some Pod Therapy. Okay, welcome back, everybody, for episode 3. Thanks for coming back, and for our new listeners, welcome.
Yes, all 2 of you, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be at least 4.
We get them 2 at a time. I think that's the deal. So if you've discovered us, welcome to the party, and thanks for giving us a shot. Excited to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for tuning in. Please feel free to submit any questions to the show. Please visit our Facebook page. Give us some likes if you enjoy what you hear today. All right. Well, let's get started, Jim.
Yes, sir. All right. So our first question is titled, Gaming Man, Angry Wife. So I think it's kind of like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I think that's what he's going
Right.
for there. And this guy's username is Life is a Slice. All right. Here's what we got. He says, I'm a 40-year-old man who has been with the same woman for 16 years. We have 2 kids together who are 8 and 10. I started playing video games quite extensively after the birth of our second son. My wife accuses me of neglecting her, the children, and the house for years. She claims that I left her to care for the kids, the cooking, the grocery shopping, the cleaning, the yard work, and to make sure the bills were paid, all on top of working a full-time job. We often had arguments regarding my inability to wake up with our kids, if needed during the night or in the morning, as I was often too tired due to a long night of gaming. She claims that living with me as a gamer was the equivalent of having a live-in babysitter. My wife, in the last couple of years, had completely grown tired of me being a gamer, so much so that she was contemplating divorce. We no longer slept in the same bed, we barely spoke, and had not had sex in years. In an attempt to improve my marriage, I was able to limit my video game play. I became more attentive towards the kids and the housework, and I left behind the late-night gaming. Our marriage was starting to improve. I felt my wife becoming more attracted to me. She finally started wearing her wedding ring again. We started sleeping in the same bed at times, and we recently had sex for the first time in 5 years. In the past month, I downloaded a new game, which I find really enjoyable. I have increased my video game play throughout the day, and have started to game again late at night, but only when she chooses not to sleep in the same bed as I do. I make sure the house is clean and that the kids' needs are met, however my wife is starting to become increasingly angry with me. I do not believe this is fair, as I'm doing what she asked of me in regards to household and responsibilities. I work full-time and bring home a good paycheck. I feel I am not the same gamer I once was. My wife states she is okay with me playing video games for a reasonable amount of time, and I gather from our arguments that she means about 2 to 3 hours a day. She does not agree with my late-night gaming and gets very angry when I am up so late talking and playing with other people online. As a compromise, she has requested I turn them off at midnight. Gaming is my passion, and I often get lost in time playing them as time just seems to fly by. Also, the crew I play with are in different time zones, so gaming needs to take place late at night, so I'm able to play with them. I feel 6 hours of gaming after a full day of work and gaming as I desire on the weekends is acceptable, provided I have attended to the kids' needs, I have helped around the house, and I have been involved in family activities. My wife argues that that amount of time I play games is unattractive and unappealing. She states that she will not settle for another round of video game addiction. I just wish she would understand that gaming is fun for me. It's the only thing that I'm good at, and it gives me great satisfaction. What can I do to convince her otherwise?
Okay.
Yeah.
Great question. So I've actually treated video game addiction, and it is a real thing. It's very prevalent. More than 150 million people are playing video games regularly in the U.S.
Wow. And that's just Call of Duty.
Yeah. Well, and actually, there's been a lot of we're starting to research it more, right? So we're starting to get a better understanding of it. Different countries research it in different ways. The problem that we're having in researching it is figuring out what is the actual diagnostic criteria for this. As of right now, they pretty much use the diagnostic criteria for substance use disorder, which doesn't really fit perfectly, but it kind of helps for research purposes.
So it sounds like you're saying the difference between when it's a real problem versus when it's just like recreation. That's what you mean by
Right.
diagnosis?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you
And
diagnose addiction.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So, the studies are showing that anywhere from, I think the lowest was around 5%. Some of the other studies have shown upward around 12%, which is still relatively low. But when we're talking about 150 million people gaming, that's a big chunk of
Wow, 5
people.
to 12% become
Right.
addicted
So
to
we're
it.
talking, 1.3, 1.4 million people.
So do you measure addiction by time? Is it just as many hours as you play, or how do you
No.
measure that?
No, absolutely not. Actually, that's one of the things that people will, researchers will tell you. It's not really a time thing. What we're looking at is how does it impact your life?
Oh.
Looking at how it impacts your life, like in what ways does it impact your relationships? Does it impact your ability to function? Things like
wow.
that. So we can talk about like the 4 C's of addiction.
Yeah.
Right. So 4 C's of addiction: compulsion, which is like the overpowering urge to play, and then not playing creates a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress. Cravings. So this is like you're actually kind of getting a physical need, like you're physically craving something. And then we can look at consequences. So continued use despite negative consequences. I think that this is where Life is a Slice, kind of his story really resonates in this specific area. Obviously, this seems to be causing a lot of conflict, right? And then also looking at control. That's the 4th C. So, playing more than you intended to. It's basically like the loss of control.
Yeah.
So the loss of control, like I said, could be playing more than you intended to in a given period of time. Could be attempts to cut down or quit that
be
have failed.
unsuccessful.
Or unsuccessful. So, so Life is a Slice. I guess that's kind of where I would start. And this can be very difficult for anybody dealing with an addiction to actually look, and to take a real honest look, because obviously you have a dog in this fight, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I can kind of relate in the sense of the, like, well, this is my passion, this is my hobby, this is what I enjoy doing, but it interferes with my relationship with somebody else. Like,
Yes.
for me, my big passion is golfing. I
Right.
love golfing, but then it can become a problem in a relationship where it's like, oh, let's go to LA for the weekend. Well, I can't because I promised my buddies we were going to go golfing.
Right.
Well, let's do this weekend. I can't because
Right.
I really want to golf and I'm very passionate
It's
about
getting
this,
in the way
right?
of everything else.
Yeah. So that's one thing to kind of really take a look at is how is this affecting your life? And here's the other thing too. You've already performed the experiment, right? So Life is a Slice writes in and he explains how his video game playing was causing a lot of problems.
Yeah.
I mean, I read in here that his wife stopped wearing her wedding ring.
Yeah, she wanted to divorce him.
Right. Like, okay, that's a pretty good indicator
That's
that
significant.
something is wrong, right? And then you cut down on the video game playing, and then things improved.
Right.
And so that right there tells you something.
Right, he ran
And
the
then-
experiment.
Right. And then you go back to it, and things are falling apart again. There's no clearer evidence that this is a problem
Yeah.
than running that experiment right there.
One of the things too that's interesting about that, I think this zooms out to everybody, right, Nick? Because I think lots of us wonder, at what point is this something I enjoy? Is this my recreation? And he says this, he says, I've earned this. I work hard. This is not hurting anybody. It's just me enjoying my time. And I think I relate to that. I think a lot of people do. They say, hey, you know what? I enjoy having a few cocktails when I get home. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not driving. Or, now in Las Vegas, marijuana is legal. A lot of people say, you know what? I'm just having a joint, but it's legal now. I'm not breaking any laws. A lot of people are overeating, or they're going to the casino and gambling, or they're playing poker online. This is how I unwind. And he's sort of saying, his question to us is, gee, Nick, how do I explain to my loved ones this isn't a problem? But I kind of hear you saying, you know what, this kind of is a problem. Like, it's crossing the threshold.
If the people who are important in your life are telling you this is a problem because it's interfering with our relationship, then by default, it's a problem.
Yeah. Even if it's just a problem for them, it becomes your problem because there's disconnection.
Right. Yeah. And who wants to lose their family? Who wants to lose their wife over video gaming?
Right.
And again, one thing I want to make clear here too is that I'm not anti-video game at all. I enjoy playing video games.
You're not good at them, but you enjoy.
Yeah. given my skill level.
Setting a low score.
But here's some things to maybe think about and take a look at. One thing that I would recommend for you, Life is a Slice, check out GameQuitters.com. It's a website. It's run by Cam Adair. I've gotten to meet him. He's brilliant when it comes to video game addiction, and he basically runs this kind of self-help group to get gamers who want to quit, who have identified that it's a problem, to help them get off of it and to kind of get their life back on track. And he's very clear too about saying that he's not anti-video game. This is specifically, for people who feel like, that this is causing a problem, that they're not able to function, that it's causing relationship issues, things like that. So check that out. It's GameQuitters.com. He also has a YouTube channel under the same title. But one thing to really kind of think about is try doing a 90-day detox.
Yeah.
This is one thing that Cam would tell you on his YouTube channel. This is also something that when I was treating video game addiction with teenagers that we would encourage them to do. Even if they don't feel it's a problem, give it up for 90 days, and then let's reassess at that point, and let's see how things are going. Because I can actually kind of relate a little bit with the video gaming in the sense that I used to video game all the time. I never got probably more than like 5 hours a day, but pretty consistent. I was constantly playing video games. And then I became a foster parent for a year, and I never had access to my own PlayStation.
Right.
Because the kids had it.
So you detoxed.
So yeah, it was kind of a forced detox. But then now I'm not a foster parent anymore. I have access to it, but it just doesn't appeal to me as much as it used to. The majority of people who play video games are not going to have a problem with it. Just the same as with alcohol. The majority of people who drink are not going to develop alcoholism. But for that percentage that do, it becomes a huge deal. And video game is kind of the same thing. For the people who do develop that addiction and that compulsion to play, it can destroy their lives very
And it comes back to, you said the warning signs are the 4 C's of addiction, that it begins with is it becoming compulsive? So do I do this automatically now? Am I craving it? So do I have an emotional or physical connection to it where I'm thinking about it when I'm not doing it and I'm sort of obsessing about it now? And then consequences. Am I doing this despite negative consequences? And then lastly was control. Am I able to cut back? Have I tried and been unsuccessful? And if we see all 4 of those warning signs, the word addiction starts to become really appropriate to describe what's going on, right?
Right, absolutely. And here's another thing too that I would like to make clear for Life is a Slice is even if this does not meet the criteria for addiction, it's pretty clear that this is becoming a problem. It doesn't have to be an addiction for it to become a problem, right? And this is, I think some decisions are going to have to be made, as far as, if you want to regain this relationship with your family. One of the things, too, that I saw in here is I do not believe this is fair as I'm doing what she asks of me in regards to household responsibilities. I think the important thing there that I pick up on is in regards to household responsibilities. So Life is a Slice, you may be right in that sense, but I kind of get the sense from reading this that from your wife's perspective, this is more than just household responsibilities. It sounds like this is really now starting to impact the intimacy in the relationship. Even if you are a great father, which I'm sure you are, and you spend good quality time with your kids, this seems to be affecting how she feels about you.
Yeah. And also, I think another indicator, Light, do you only now do these other responsibilities so you can get back to gaming? And I think that should be something you notice. It's become such a priority in your life that the only reason I'm doing other things is so I can do this and not be messed with. And if you're making that much room at the table for this one activity, it's